Hey there, my friends, it's Glenn with the Cactus Atlas in Capitol Reef National Park, pondering something. There's an off-road route, an entire off-pavement route here in Capitol Reef called the Cathedral Loop that explores the northern section of the park. And it's a little rougher than what I did on a different episode where we drove a loop all around the fold. Really awesome video. This is going to be a little bit more rugged, and I'm actually very early on in the exploration. You will encounter a river ford. It's late afternoon, and I'm not planning on doing this today, by the way. I'm here to try to scout out so I can make decisions. Part of my planning. So Slim, of course, is saying, oh, we got this. And I believe mechanically, very probably we do, combined with other information I was given, but there's still uncertainty and a little bit of apprehension I'm feeling at the moment. So in essence, I'm trying to have a go or no-go decision to this mission for tomorrow, and if not, I need to plan a plan B tonight. But here is said river. You can see not many, but somebody has been here recently, and if you read the literature in here, combined with what they're going to tell you when you talk to a ranger, because you do want to check in with them first to ask them what the conditions here are, because it can vary greatly, especially in the spring or something where there's snow melt. Basically the idea is you're supposed to drive here down this way where you can see people have gone, and then you want to immediately kind of face off to the right and go downstream, and you can actually see it's fairly shallow here, right? So now I don't know how silty or muddy that's gonna feel. I've never done one of these before. I mean, I've done some really wimpy things, and I would say this is probably a good beginner level thing if you know what you're doing and you have the right thing. I don't think it's anything crazy at all, but I'll tell you my apprehension. The ranger basically asked what my clearance was, and this vehicle has 10 inches with the factory installed stuff. It has a factory installed lift, not the biggest tires on it. Maybe another inch more, bigger tire, and I'd be thinking about this less. But basically, so I qualify for what the ranger thought the minimum requirement, I guess. And what I'm worried about is like right over there on that other side is one thing, because there's a faster current there, and I imagine, I don't know how much deeper is that. I can't see it. It could be a couple feet deeper. And that could be tested. I could go take my shoes off and walk in there, right? So, that is what I would do actually if I'm going to pursue this. The other worry I have though is the ranger said people are reporting new ruts that you can't see underneath, where maybe rushing water a few days ago after a storm created something you can't see, and your wheel or your tire goes into it, and now you're deeper in than you thought. So those are the things that I'm thinking, but I can see some rapids right there, so I'm pretty sure. Probably just go straight on through, no problem. Probably a case for locking the differentials, I would assume, yes? And as hot as it is and refreshing as it would be to just go in there right now, I'm realizing though the apprehension isn't so much conquering this obstacle, although, you know, being alone. Although we're very close to the main Route 24, this isn't like deep into the wilderness yet. I do take these drives alone, and you know, and these are some remote locations, especially going further into this thing. This is that drive. It was like another one of these books that I bought. And this is exactly what the doctor ordered. I'm telling you, I am stoked to do this. But, so yeah, I think I talked myself out of this one to this time. Man, it's disappointing. I still have a night to sleep on it, but I think I am gonna go formulate a plan B. And that's okay too, because I've been reading about some of the hikes and other things there are in this vicinity that I really wanna do, and I'm bummed because I don't have time. So maybe I switch it up and I just do something like that. Plus, I'll just be one other thing I'm not admitting to myself is I'm just freaking tired. I've been camping now for over 2 weeks straight in a tent, working every day in the heat, making multiple videos a day. You know, from the moment you wake up till you go to bed, you're working. So I think that could be a mental thing. You know, I just think I'm exhausted, and the prospect of going out there and doing this right now and taking those little risks, just not feeling it this time. It really sucks though, because this looks primo. So what to do? I'm just thinking for a few reasons. I mean, one, I am exhausted, like I said. I am just so dang done, but I can't stop because this is money. This is my job at the moment. So it just because I don't feel like I'm tired, boo-hoo, in the same way you don't want to wake up and go to work at the morning some days, it's, you know, it's, you're gonna have that. It's a freaking job. So that's, you know, that's kind of why, rather than just say, oh, I'll just plop down and enjoy a day at the campground, I just can't do that. I mean, I could do that, but it bothered me. That said, I think the order of the day is I just need to pick something more that accommodates the speed of the moment. Something a little bit maybe low key, maybe something that takes like, I think that's the other thing about those adventures is that those things are like a whole day affairs, you know? You gotta plan. That's what I was in the process of doing. I was reading and studying my route and saw the river ford, and it's not far from the campsite, so I figured I'd be wise. Let's just go check it out. See, you're hearing me reason through my plan B here. And what I'm really leaning towards are some of these hikes and things like near the campground here, because I hear that Grand Wash is pretty cool. But I need to go read about it. Well, you got to see enough deliberation for now. Now I just need to do a little bit of research and pick the, we're gonna call it a chill day in Capitol Reef. That's gonna be the theme of tomorrow in this video, which actually starts today. A chill day in Capitol Reef. I was driving back to the campsite, really, where I'm gonna do my planning, and I was coming around the corner. I've never driven, you know, in this direction on this part. And I'm realizing how gorgeous this is right now in this light. I was just gonna flip the GoPro on and film it, and I'm going to. But I had to get out and comment and say, yeah, this is nice and relaxing. I hear water down there. Oh yeah, look at that. The area is closed. I assume they mean down there. I assume this is the Fremont River. It's just amazing how you have that much of a flow in this arid of a region that's just constant. And this is near, I have this near my campground, and it's just so relaxing. And maybe that's the start of this episode, is the sound of water. I know a nice cool place that I haven't checked out yet, where near the campground where the river flows, so maybe we'll go over there and see it together. But I wanted to share this moment. It's a cool moment. Now this is more my speed today. It's like day use area where there's nobody ever here. There's a bridge over there crossing the river. I'm gonna walk that direction, but I wanted to just share this area, and I wanted to come see it for myself. Not so much for the beautiful views, but this grass. I love this. But you must understand, living in Phoenix, Arizona, this is as novel as snow to me. Like this level of lush grass, but then combined with views like that. So I hope you can see I'm certainly not gypping you from an episode here. But if you came here for excitement and you're not getting it today, I do apologize. Another YouTuber we watch, I'll have to do a plug because I think I'm long overdue. One of our favorites, Swifty Travels, and we'll put a link down below to hers. I think I saw some posts of hers at some point saying, how do you as a YouTuber, in general she was asking it, stay healthy, mentally healthy and sane? And my answer is I don't. I am crumbling. I am crumbling here, and the evidence is I want to mow lawns. That's another thing I said in another episode. I shouldn't say that, but I offered if anybody out in the Grafton area wanted an idyllic pasture mowed for free, like in how Forrest Gump liked to mow lawns, I think I would be happy doing that. Anybody else enjoy mowing a good lawn? So this whole area that I'm camping in, named Fruita, is a historic area. And it's very much tied to the history of the Mormons that settled this area as far back as the 1800s. And as you'll learn here, many of these orchards still remain and were worked through the 1960s. And I believe this became a national park in the 1970s, and prior to that it was a national monument. So I don't know what the situation was for the folks farming out here in the years when it was a national monument. I assume they had like permission to do so, but you could see Capitol Reef Fruita Orchards, the Marin Smith Place. And I haven't really studied all of the different fruits they grow. I've certainly seen apple trees, and I've not seen anything yet that's, you know, ready to pick. I thought I saw a few apples, but they were really like small and green. I know apples are more of a fall, kind of late summer fall thing. But to me, the main point here is the contrast between lush orchards and green, shady trees and running streams and that kind of scenery on the scales that you have here at Capitol Reef. On my Camp View channel, if you want to see my little campground tour and drive through, if you want to camp here, highly recommend that. But I think my overall theme of that video was, I usually rate campgrounds based on like a lot of camper services. Do they have showers? Do they have this and that? This place is a little bit of light on some of those things, but where this place exceeds is the setting. And I don't know if I've ever camped in a setting even Zion isn't as good as this in my opinion for the setting. I was calling this like a little jewel box. I feel like I'm inside like somebody's like frost globe or something, and they're gonna shake it and it's gonna start snowing, but it's like a beautiful scene or something. I mean, everything is like almost too perfect here, at least during my stay. Just the way the sun pokes itself out every once in a while from behind the trees as you walk, and it glimmers off the cliffs. And I'll be honest, I'm never that much of an emotional person. You know, I don't get the feels, but this place is an exception. Or maybe going back to that question, how do you keep sane sometimes as a YouTuber? Maybe I'm answering that question for myself right here and now. The campground I'm staying in is just right around on the other side there. You can see some RVs, and that's like my loop's right on the other side of that. So I'm very close within walking distance. But I wanted to talk about this place. I think we're gonna come back to this place when it's open though, now that I've changed up my itinerary here a little bit and give myself a pass. But I wanna go see my horse friends. So this whole area is known as the Fruita historic section of Capitol Reef, the remnants of Mormon orchard operations dating back to the 1800s and running through the 1960s. But now that this is a national park, those days are done. But the history remains, as well as a few horses too. This barn is one such remnant from an older time. Not as old as you might think though. What I was wondering on the other episode is, what's the actual function of these horses? Are they used like for horseback riding or some kind of function? Or are they just kind of here to create an ambience for guests? Which if it's that, I would be totally cool. Hey, it's my buddy. Is that the one from yesterday? I don't know if I should trust you, because you guys bite. You're big. You guys are big horses. Hi. I know I'm probably being dramatic, but I got bit by a burro once, and that was not pleasant. And I don't know these horses. I don't know how to read horses. I don't know really well how to read horse aggression, and I'm sure I probably could have pet one of those right there. I was patting one of them on the head, but it wasn't the big one. I think it was the one that you can't see behind the spotted one. Anyway, the barn here is, there's no exact date on it. It said it was like pre-World War I, so I'm guessing the 1910s or sometime in the first decade, I don't know. And it says it's been added on to and stuff over the years, so I'm sure it's been repaired and They've had work. I could tell the inside, there's newer lumber on the ceiling, as I was pointing out, but it's still just such a beautiful piece out here, like in this, what I'm calling a jewel box. My peaceful area we were wandering down in was right over there. But, I mean, this is my kind of perfection. Might not be yours, but it's mine. I think before I retire to my quarters, I'm gonna take another stroll around the Gifford House. The sun actually is barely poking now. I was hoping there'd be a little bit more light. That's okay. It's starting to become that time of day. Anyway, but this is a historic home. I assume one of the Mormon family's homes. I actually think I see a marmot on the grounds. See that? There's a marmot. I know they have them in this area. I think I saw signs. It's a plump little one. Marmots are pretty plump and big. Do you live inside the shed, marmot? Is that what you are? Is a marmot? Or are you just some really fat chipmunk? There's two of them. I think it's a marmot. There's one that ran over there. Look at that. That is cute. Oh my God, that's too perfect. I mean, I'm not one to be too sentimental or so. That's tickling me right now. It's like, hey, it's like he's the bartender and he rushed to the back. He's like, what can I get for you? But you think I have food for you. And that's a no-no. You guys are getting all fat on that pie I hear they sell in there, aren't you? Yeah, you are. Am I correct? That was a marmot? Either that or a really fat squirrel, like I said. But knowing that they sell, like they're supposed to sell famous pies in here at this historic house, I think what I'm going to try to do is, now that I've changed my plan, I'm going to include this in the itinerary and I'm going to go sample some pie as part of this episode. But before I can eat said pie, I think I need to go hike one of these things like the Grand Wash or a slot canyon or something kind of adventurous and cool. What do you think? I think that'll be a compromise tomorrow. I'll wake up, go do the hike, this place opens, get a piece of pie, and then maybe go eat it over in my little secret garden. Anywho, I'm gonna call it a day for this episode, and we will check in the morning when we're all fresh and new, and we'll continue this one. Welcome to another day in Fruita. A beautiful morning here where the sun has risen and I've kind of taken my time, made coffee at the campsite, and I'm ready to continue the adventure that we started yesterday, a more relaxed adventure. So I am very much still on chill mode. I mean, I slept well last night. No issues there. I had a good dinner last night. Everything's perfect, rejuvenating things, but I think I'm just a little burnt out. But the good news is I did some research on some things and I think I found some very impactful, amazing hikes that are also really easy to do. And they're very close by. So I'm actually getting pretty excited about it. And this morning I had some alone time with the horses. They were kind of on our side and I was drinking some coffee and chatting with them, trying to learn their lingo. A lot of folks are vacating the campground now, which is part of my strategy for today of staying close by so I can do my camp view drive-through videos. I like to do that when there's as few people as possible. So I thought I'd just take you out here on this quick morning stroll, my warm-up, we're gonna call it, for a couple hikes. Likely a couple hikes. One for sure, this Grand Wash here. That seems to be the big thing that I want to do. It's very nearby. I don't know, I saw there's like a pull-off for parking, so I don't know how crowded it's gonna get. It's marketed as a narrows or a slot canyon, about like I think 2.2 miles long, and you know, basically a narrow canyon where there's going to be walls a few hundred feet high is what it sounds like. And I love that stuff, so it's probably very majestic and amazing. And if it truly is, if I'm remembering 2 miles, then no problem. And there are a couple other hikes I think that are supposed to have really good canyon views. There's a couple contenders, all ranked easy. So we're probably gonna pick a couple things like that. And then I'm going to go into the Gifford House later this afternoon. I think they close at 4:30, and there's like a break in the day where they probably have lunch and they're closed. But I'm gonna grab a piece of pie there and I'll eat it here and I'll tell you what I think, because people always say, oh, you have to get the pie. And oftentimes I find in situations like that, the pie is good wherever it is you're talking about, but it's not like, there's not anything that is mind-blowing other than if it's produced with locally sourced fruits and things, then heck yeah. I'm gonna get some shade here. But I really don't know much about it, but I'm assuming we're gonna learn because there's a museum over there also. And so we'll probably share some of the history of the family that lived there, and throughout the day I'll see if I can find info about all that stuff. One thing I'm gonna need to ask about or research is we might have seen something kind of cool that you might take for granted, but I saw there was a pipe when we started. You could hear the water rushing, like flowing into the orchard, and you can see some of it spilling out here now. I think there's a drain collecting it here, but basically I'm wondering, you know, kind of learning about the history here. I think some of the original settlers would use gravity to make these like gravity fed feeds off of rivers like the Fremont. And then I don't know what they did, if they gated it and controlled the flow or whatever. I didn't really read about the engineering, but are we essentially seeing a modern version of that? And is what I saw was that, I don't know, is there a tank around here? Was it just gravity and water pressure, or is it gravity because you are feeding it from the river at a higher elevation and you just opened a valve and you're essentially doing the same thing the Mormons did? If anybody knows the answer to that, that would be cool. I'll ask the people in the museum, but when I start asking questions like that, sometimes I think people get scared of me. Hello again, everybody. It's the same day from the morning where we started here, and I have not done anything yet. We've not hiked. I actually filmed some business for Camp View. Got all of that done off the plate. And then I laid down for like maybe a half hour or something, and the wind's been blowing, and I was able to nap. I needed a little bit more sleep, I think. Haven't hiked, but now it's like I'm risking not being able to get pie if I go to hike now, and it's hot. And it's pretty humid, and I'm having trouble with this camera overheating very easily, the Sony ZV-1 Mark II. I think probably because of the mixture of the heat and the humidity. So I'm gonna just go eat some pie really quick. I have a sweet tooth right now. And then we'll hike later and burn it off. Let's go check out this Gifford House and see what it's all about. I mean, see if we can see a little history on the inside. I don't know if there's a museum or what, but even though it's really bright right now, very beautiful sight. I don't know if we talk about this in this video or if I talked about it in the Camp View video, but this doesn't give too many specifics about who lived here, but other than, they were just talking about the general farmers, how they worked really hard days here. It mentions the gravity fed irrigation, and they didn't have electricity here until 1948. So they mentioned how they would store, they would can all of their fruits and stuff grown in the orchards and store them in cellars, which we see that on the Cactus Atlas, and cellars are nice and cool usually. I'm excited to go in. First, let's see if our marmot friend is here. It's this little house. Should knock on the door and see if it pops its head up. Marmot! I know you're probably in there, marmot, because it's hot. But I'm not sticking my nose in that. Well, that's a real bummer. They're sold out of pie. So I bought some jellies and jams to bring home. Stuff that I wouldn't be able to find at our grocery store. That stinks. Yeah, I basically said, okay. So I guess she said by 1 o'clock usually they're sold out. So it's kind of curious. Make more. Why not? Seems like there's a demand for it. They're open till 4:30, so that bites. I don't know. They weren't very nice in there either, I thought. Maybe they were kind of involved in their conversation, but it's more of just a gift shop. I thought it'd be like kind of a museum. So if you want me to be honest, not very impressive really to me. I mean, it's quaint, but the outside's better. And yeah, I think I was the way they kind of, when I just looked and said, oh, there's no pie, they kind of gave me a look like, what, are you dumb? Like, I've never been here before. Maybe I was just misreading it, but I'm disappointed. So I basically said, so I guess you got to get here early to get pie, and she said, yep. So I would recommend, based on how she said it, get here before 1 o'clock. And they open at 9, and then they're closed between noon and 12:45, so you only have like, what, a 3-hour window to buy pie. Unless they're bullshitting me. Which maybe they were. They seemed to not like me for some reason. Even though I wasn't even like YouTubing in there. So now I'm realizing I don't even know if I bought something that's unique to here. Maybe I just bought some really overpriced stuff, but let's study here. This is a Capital Reef. This might be the one thing here, but I don't think they grow pineapples here. But apricot pineapple sounded like something that I would like, but I know somebody else that I think would love that, so I thought I'd take a chance. So I'm guessing they make this here. Made in Utah. Or they make it with some of the fruit here, because I saw apricots being grown here. Then this thing, this Pioneer Valley, I don't know, I kind of saw it, I wasn't paying attention to the labeling as much, but is that made here? Because this, it sounds good, Orchard Peach Fancy Syrup. Amy and I love our syrups, so it's made in Utah. But I'm just wondering, they have a website, pioneermarket.com, in Orem, Utah, so if that's local, that's cool, that's why I bought this here, but if it's not, it's kind of lame to sell it here and do that, because if that's true, you're kind of like tricking us into thinking we're buying your guys' stuff, so hopefully it is what it is. And the last one I got here is a strawberry rhubarb syrup. $7.95 for each of these things too, by the way. Well folks, it's now the next day after yesterday, the attempted pie. And this morning I went to do an off-road drive that was probably, well, I was gonna say last week's video, but it's probably not. It's probably next week's video. The way we're gonna have it scheduled. But anyway, I am back now. It's after 4 o'clock. It's my last day here, by the way, in this park, my last night. I check out tomorrow morning, so I am running out of time. So after a long day of being out and about filming, and in regions far beyond here, I get to go do another hike, yay! Although I didn't really hike earlier, but I'm as fatigued as if I would. See, that's what I'm saying on the Cactus Atlas. You're gonna hear me talk, if you haven't, on that other video about some errors, some mistakes, I guess, in interpreting or planning, and how that affects the time that I have to do things. And this is exactly what I'm talking about, like right here. You know, working from sunrise to sunset without a break, trying to hit everything I said I'm gonna do, and oftentimes not. But this video I have no choice, because tomorrow I gotta make another video on the way out of here, and I gotta leave early. See, it's not fun when you look at it this way, is it? By now, hopefully these are some familiar views to those of you that watch our show, or Camp View, because I think, you know, we featured this area multiple times. But it's so beautiful, I figure why not get one last drive through here. It's probably my last real activity, I would say, for Capital Reef, assuming I can find a parking spot. But I think this late in the day I should be able to. I'll be very surprised if I can't. This in being the middle of the week too, Wednesday. What I want to go check out is the Grand Wash, which is right down the road. I think it's one of the premier hikes around here. Kind of a slot. I've seen it mentioned as a Narrows or a slot canyon. We'll see. When I think of slot canyons, I think of things like Little Wild Horse, like really tight. When I think of Narrows, I think of, I'm guessing this is more of a Narrows than a slot canyon, but maybe I'll be delighted. And maybe those words are interchangeable, but when I think of the Narrows, I think of something like the Narrows in Zion National Park, where you've got basically a really tight canyon, and in the tightest places it might be like 30 feet across, with cliffs on either side of you going up like 1,000 feet. That's what I guess a Narrows is to me. And then a slot canyon is something that, for a big guy like me, there might be places where I have to squeeze through some pretty tight spots, like that tight, you know? That's what when I hear slot canyon, I think of that. But I don't know if all those words are interchangeable. You know, I've heard people refer to them both the same way, but I guess in my nomenclature, that's how I don't know if there is a thing to distinguish, but that's my brain. Oh, Capitol Reef. It is one of the most charming landscapes of 2024 for me. Partially probably because that's novel. It's my first trip here, so everything's fresh and new. And it really is beautiful though. I would even say it exceeded my expectations in many ways, so it's now one of my favorite national parks, I'd say, and I haven't been able to explore everything. Like the river fording, which I keep going after today's, what I would say, disappointing adventure. That devil on my shoulder saying, dude, you got time, you gotta do the river ford and just go do that thing. And I'm sure I can get it done, like I said, but I think now time is not on my side, so out of the question, but a reason to come back one day. Oh, so there's plenty of parking here. Look at that, yeah. So I guess come when it's the hottest. Not too smart, am I? I'm gonna drink some water before we go, and then I'm gonna go read signs and see what we're dealing with here. Wish me luck. All right, now we begin the game of how long can the ZV-1 go without overheating today. It's a little later in the afternoon here, so hopefully it's not bad, but this is my big activity here that I've wanted to do, which is the Grand Wash. And basically, just to show you what we're gonna do is, I'm starting here, and we're not doing this whole thing. No. Actually, you can get to the campground this way. That's cool. Maybe next time. Basically, we want to go about 2 miles in to the Narrows, which I think would probably be the best section. And that's all I know. So 2 miles in, hopefully we find some Narrows. Hopefully it's worth it. And I feel it will be. But anyway, I think half of me is really happy to do this because I kept driving by this thinking, gosh darn it, I'm not going to be able to do this Grand Wash. And if it's the thing I think it is, it's probably was on the top of my list. But I'm still kicking myself for not, doing this off-roading thing, but I still think I made the right choice, and that intuition, sometimes you got to listen to it. All right, maybe I'll try to get brave with the camera if I'm in the shade here. Hopefully it doesn't overheat. It does feel nice and cooler in the side, but neat canyon features, huh? Nothing really mind-blowing yet for your typical Utah sandstone scenery if you've spent a lot of time in areas like this. I mean, it's nothing to sneeze at either. It's beautiful. But I want a Narrows here. I want a gosh darn Narrows. It's about the most shade I've had all day. This thick anyway. It's refreshing. I wasn't thinking this was gonna be refreshing. Sometimes a good hike and a little bit of exercise, even though you've been at it all day long, it energizes, ironically, doesn't it? Even though we're not in a Narrows yet, I would say it's getting narrower, wouldn't you? At least here in this corner. And these old craggly trees that have somehow eked out an existence up there. And how many raging flash floods have likely passed through this place. Not one of those places I think you want to hike on a day with a high predicted chance of thunderstorms, especially in the afternoon. I'm enjoying this part of the hike more than I thought I would, actually. If the hike was just like this the whole way, I'd be a buyer. You wouldn't get a complaint from me at all. But because they advertised narrows, now you crossed a line there. Yes, you did. Now you set expectations. But still, you know what I'm saying? This is absolutely fantastic back here. I was out today filming something else. Likely the video that's going to be out after this one. Even though I said I filmed this morning and finished it. This particular video has been going over the course of 3 days. So technically it's the earlier one, the way we do things. But I had a kind of a disappointing day for various reasons that you'll see on that. I don't think it's my finest work, but this makes it all better. When you stir amongst these rocks like that, it makes all the other small things just not matter. Narrower and narrower with every twist and turn. It's cool how the sun's still reaching the top of some of these things in here. I don't know what the optimal time of the day is for something like this. I always would think like midday when sun gets in here, but this part's so wide that it would not be good, but in the narrows itself. Look at that boulder up there. That's scary. That is destined to come down and hard. Very tall walls. I'm gonna say hundreds of feet high. Not 1,000 foot is my gut feeling. Look at that. All right, I quizzed a couple hikers and asked how narrow it gets. And as I thought, this is not, I even used the terminology. I said, hey, is this getting narrower, or is this about as good as it gets? And this is about as good as it gets. So I think there must be a distinction between narrows and slot canyon. So I'm not upset because this is exactly what I thought we were gonna find with something like this, which I still think is awesome. It would be better with water and a river running through it though. Because essentially it's the same as the narrows, almost, without water. At least full-time water, because I guarantee you, if you're in here at the wrong time, I'm sure there's plenty of water in here. This reminds me of the other, here's a good example of where I think the terminology is important, because there was a canyon I did, an episode on the Cactus Atlas. I know it was behind the reef in the San Rafael swell. And there's several canyons back there. I want to say in publications, some of those are referred to as slot canyons, but this is more what they look like. So you kind of get your hopes up and you're expecting Little Wild Horse Canyon, and you end up with something more like this. Which, if your expectations are the slot canyon, you may be disappointed. But if your expectations are this, then you will be very pleased, as am I. Unless he was lying, because it is better and he doesn't want to tell a YouTuber. Although I didn't reveal to him that I was a YouTuber. I was being sly. I like all these like pock marks in the walls too that you see here. I imagine that's the effect of maybe water and ice getting trapped in places and expanding and cracking, and then wind and more water. So I'm formulating a plan, and you may have already gotten a preview of it when I said, hey, Amy can show you some clips of Little Wild Horse Canyon. You know what I was thinking? I had a failure today, and there were supposed to be some slot canyons involved, and since I couldn't get them done, I'm gonna be passing one said canyon, Little Wild Horse. Maybe one of the most amazing freaking places I've ever been. It is crazy. And if you don't know what it is, then, and you've never seen a slot canyon, then you're gonna say, thank you, Glenn. Most of you know what I'm talking about though. So I may try to hit that tomorrow and make another video when I leave here, since I was disappointed with today's earlier attempt. Ooh, I like the way some of the sun is coming up over there. If I keep going, I'm gonna eventually be back in the campground, which isn't good because my truck's on this side. But now that I know that, one day I'll be back. One day I'm gonna come back to all these places and actually vacation and not make videos the whole time, and actually just go do stuff and enjoy it like the way you're supposed to enjoy it. Looks like it's opening up for sure beyond that over there where the sun's coming up. Probably why there's so much sun. Or at least we'll peek around here. I think I might see some, looks like mud, but I don't think it is. I just think it's the sandstone or mudstone or whatever it is. It looked kind of shiny for a minute. This is a neat part though, because there's like little caves in here. So I'm kind of glad we're doing this, and there's a nice breeze, like a little AC blowing on me for a moment. AC-ish. I like the black streaks too on that rock right over here. It's pretty. All right, let's see here. Let's see if I can see. I mean, it definitely is getting bright. I would say it's widening up again, bit by bit. And looking at the map from the beginning, it's just the Narrows was a temporary section. So I'm going to assume that based on user feedback that I asked for on the way in, this is our turning around point. So I'm gonna get my other camera out and take pictures for Instagram. And then I have one last place we're gonna go to say our goodbyes. It'll be quick though. All right, I'm at a place that I was at on a different video, what was it? Looping the Fold. And this is a spot where there are petroglyphs. And if you saw that video, I was right over there looking at some of the petroglyphs of the Fremont culture. And then I saw this bridge going way over here, and I said, oh, I don't have time. Well, now I have time. So I'm gonna come out here and walk to the end and see what's there. And at the end, we will say goodbye. I smell like the smell of a rotting animal or something. It's not very pleasant. We're walking along the familiar cliffs of this area, and nice and shady as usual. stream here. Should be looking up here the whole time, actually, if we were smart. Scanning for other ones. Because you actually can see some right there. You see those? That very distinctive, strange look of the humanoid figures of the Fremont culture that really do define it. I see what they mean. One of the defining features of that culture that sets them apart from their contemporaries, the ancestral Puebloans, or the Anasazi, they say. Although my favorite still, oh, there's more. See up there? There's deer. My favorites are still the ones at Buckhorn Wash Pictograph Panel, or actually not even that, the ones near Seago that I saw in Utah. And there's even better ones than that I've read about, but for now, the ones that I visited, the Buckhorn Wash Pictograph Panel and the ones on Seago are the really awesome but eerie ones. It really makes you think about what were these people doing. This is more about the farming around here. You know, one thing I would have liked to see more here at Capitol Reef is maybe more exhibits on the actual Fremont Indians and their farming techniques. Like, if you haven't, maybe they did, but maybe like instead of having all orchards, maybe plant some corn or whatever they were doing and make a village. I don't know much about the Fremont culture other than their pictographs and petroglyphs. They're like the new one that, I mean, I've known about them for years, but it's the one that I'm really now wanting to know more about. I honestly can't tell you if there's Fremont there or just modern graffiti. I see our modern letters there. But anyway, there's one down there that says, I don't even know what it says. Well, friends, I'm gonna have to end this one here. It was a nice little video, I thought. It wasn't what we set out to do. It wasn't as adventurous, but I really enjoyed hanging out in this area of the park and getting to see some of it. It would have been a shame if I didn't, I think. So anyway, if you like this video, please subscribe, as we've got plenty more like this, and come back next week and we'll have another video for you. Bye.